Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. It's Michael Zuber with Dion. Normally at this time we do the three amigos, but schedules just didn't work out today. So I thought Dion and I would get together. So how you doing, Dion?
Howdy, I'm doing good. I'll miss Matt. I can tell myself I'm wrong.
Yeah, Zach, that's okay. You can tell. You could say I'm wrong. It's totally okay with me. I asked my wife. I'm wrong at least once a day, so I'm used to hearing that. Matt, yes, we miss you. Shout out to you. Good job being a dad, taking care of the kids. We wish you the best, and I'm sure we'll see you next week. So, Dion, we've got three exciting topics. The first one is how millionaires go broke. Right? We do a lot of talking about getting started. We've talked about earning financial freedom, but I think there's also 3-4 pretty consistent ways where millionaires go broke. I think we should talk about them, acknowledge them, and hold each other accountable if we see each other doing silly things, and then also remind folks, don't do these stupid things. So does that make sense?
It's a good topic, and I think if we don't think of these things before we become rich, we can trip up on these really easily.
Oh yeah, they're so easy. So the first one is all the ball players, right? There are some YouTube channels out there that do a great job of this. Pretty much lotto winners go into this bucket as well. They get lump sums of money very quickly. Not a lot of financial education, and I don't know what it is. They don't respect it, maybe, I don't know, but they definitely like to spend it, right? There's little thought to earning more, and there's a lot of thought of spending. And mom gets a house, dad gets a car, all of that, and then once the income stops, it's over.
Well, you've pretty much nailed it. There's a lot of data that shows people who receive a lot of money over a short period of time. Sports players who make millions in their first couple of contracts, lottery winners, people who inherit. I think it's the people who inherit more than $1 million, the family usually is broke within 3 generations. Mm-hmm. Sports players are usually broke within a few years of their career ending, because you only have so much time to play. Lottery winners, what is it, like 70% file bankruptcy within 3 years of winning the lottery.
Yeah, it's just
and part of it is people don't realize the difference between being rich and being wealthy. And rich is defined as having a lot of money. People say, look, that person has so much money, they're rich. And I think the current definition is 15 million. If you have $15 million, they can call you rich. In my dinosaur days, it was $1 million. So that number keeps going up.
Yeah, exactly.
And wealthy is a math equation.
Yes.
How many months can you continue your current lifestyle if you didn't sell your life 1 hour at a time? So your money coming in that doesn't rely on you having a job.
Bingo. Mm-hmm.
So people who become rich rapidly, or people who have even earned their wealth over time, if they don't learn things like the difference between price and cost, they can run out of money quickly. Like looking at a boat and saying, okay, that costs $200,000. I can totally buy that. And then they have to think of the interest on the loan, licensure fees. If it has a captain, imagine the cost, like having a private plane. Slip fee, mortgage, maintenance, all of those things, that the cost is so different than the price. Mm-hmm. Just like people who buy a house. Yeah. A lot of people buy houses on payment. They think I can afford this much every month. That's not planning for the roof or the foundation or the water heater or the expensive
or furniture.
Furniture, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
crazy.
And then I'm trying to think of how to say this without insulting Dave Ramsey.
It's okay. Go ahead.
The wrong type of debt,
yeah,
or believing that debt can't help you.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you have a lot of money, there is convenience in using credit cards. Mm-hmm. And you can also earn cash back and you can have points. But if you don't pay it off every month, mm-hmm. You're accruing interest. Hardly anybody can make a guaranteed 19% return on their interest, next month. Mm-hmm. But the credit cards pull it off every month. That credit card company is getting that month, that money.
Yeah.
And I think, as much as we promote the book, One Rental at a Time and 15 Conversations with Real Estate Millionaires, I think people should read or listen to The Millionaire Next Door and the follow-up book to realize that the people who they studied who have millions and continue to keep the millions live a certain way. Mm-hmm. The most commonly owned vehicle for millionaires is something like an F-150 that's a 3-year-old pickup.
Mhm.
And now there's a couple of others that are up in there, but it's not the fancy sports car.
It's not a
Uh,
BMW. It's not a Mercedes. Yeah.
Right. Um, so that's kind of my opinions is
Yeah.
you have to watch interest, because the best quote is that I like: people who understand interest earn it. People who do not understand interest pay it.
Oh, I like that. I like
And the
that
more money you have, interest can have a huge impact.
for sure. Yeah. There's a couple of other things I think about when I was kind of preparing for our conversation. So again, I've been doing this a long time. I saw the last crisis up close and personal. I knew people that were worth 7 figures and one guy worth 8 figures. And what happened in this case is what got them there. And like the guy was 8 figures. He admits it. He got cocky. He started to quote, he went for additional streams of income. He was a house flipper, flipping $1 million homes in the Bay Area. And for whatever reason, he wanted to go open up a restaurant. He opened up a comedy club. And I think he even opened a kiosk or two in the mall, like all disparate businesses, all because he had money to burn, all because he thought he had the Midas touch. And once his real estate business slowed down, it didn't even fall yet. All those other businesses choked his cash flow. And once cash flow is choked, everything just died. And it was just a slow, painful walk to bankruptcy. So, there's one thing to say streams of income, and then there's one things to kind of make them, like if you're a real estate guy and then you're opening up a Apple repair center, like broken phones, that's not the same thing, right? That's a different skill set. So you gotta be careful.
Yeah, we've mentioned it here before, and I think I remember the name this time: Charlie Munger
Yes.
and Warren Buffett having that conversation of focused on one asset class until you become wealthy, and then diversify to protect your assets. And I really like in the Meet Kevin Bigger Pockets episode, it's like in the middle of the episode, they had a light bulb moment where they were all three kind of realizing cash flow protects your assets.
Yes.
So people who gamble on appreciation, or we benefit from appreciation, if you don't have that cash flow figured out. And so when his real estate portfolio, the gentleman you were talking about, kind of slowed down, he didn't have the cash flow to protect his assets.
Exactly.
And then
pay attention to Evergrande in episode number 3. The same thing is happening at a much bigger scale.
So, and then people that get a lot of money really quickly have to think about taxes.
Yes.
Just hypothetically, if somebody were paid $60,000 to ghostwrite a book one day, what is that? That's earned income.
For sure.
So that year they're going to have X amount of dollars to pay. I love the show with Dwayne Johnson, Ballers on HBO.
Oh yeah.
And one of the early episodes, you said something very similar at the beginning of this video. He's talking to a football player who has at a dinner with like 22 of his family. And he says, you have the money to do this, but everybody's going to want a piece, and there's never enough to go around.
Yeah, I remember that episode.
So you have to realize that as you start to become more successful and more stable, people are going to show up. Yeah. They're always going to have a story, and lending out money is giving away money.
For sure.
So only do it if you can give it away.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing I want to talk about here with millionaires is having $1 million. Like you said, that goes away in a heartbeat. If you're not continually, having your income or your cash flow exceed your expenses, i.e. you can work, work is optional, to use your phrase, it's eventually going to go to zero. If you're not filling the cup and there's a little leak, and then there's another leak and another leak, the water or the cash is going to go out. Lots of millionaires go broke that way.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that sometimes it's really easy to make money. You could have the right crypto at the right moment in time. You could, the lottery ticket, whatever it is.
Whatever, yeah. It does show up quickly sometimes.
Unfortunate that it's hard to keep money.
Yeah. Yeah, and then, the last thing is some people I've seen become very successful. They let their lifestyle. It's hard to believe, right? You grow up ridiculously poor, like I was, where your dad probably never made more than 45 or 50 grand a year ever. And, then you start making 200 grand a year. But if you're spending it all, it doesn't matter, right? If you're making 200, but you spend 250, you're broke. If just like if you made 50 and spent 60, you're broke. I have seen some people come up, they hustle, they grind, they get there. And then for whatever reason, something changes. Maybe they get a new significant other, or I don't know what happens, but their mindset shifts. And it becomes like they were never about keeping up with the Joneses before. But once they got there, it's like, I don't need one country club. I need two. I don't need two houses. I need three. It's like, who is this? Is this the invasion of the body snatchers? What is going on?
Yeah. And to kind of wrap up, I'll share a law enforcement story from when I was a police officer a billion years ago. It's like 12, 13 years now. There was a nice lady whose husband, her and her husband owned, I think it was 11 KFCs.
Oh,
they
wow.
had the franchises. He passed away. She's a little bit elderly. And so we would get this call, and it would basically come across as a bank robbery. So, your adrenaline goes up to here, and it's like, oh, get to the bank really quick. And it was this report of anytime the lady came in to try to withdraw a certain amount of cash, the police were supposed to be called because someone had convinced her that she won $4 million. But it had to be paid in cash. And cash is very heavy. So you have to rent a truck and a forklift to load the pallet. So if you could send us $5,000, we could rent the truck and bring it to you. So this scammer in another country was slowly just taking tens of thousands of dollars from this lady over a couple of year period. And the family couldn't commit her. She hadn't lost her mind yet. So they just had this warning of anytime she's trying to take out cash, please call the police to have them come in here and verify that this is a real thing. And then we would try to talk her out of it, because you can't stop somebody from spending their money. And
you can't stop
we're the
stupid.
enemy. She knows she has $4 million waiting just after one more payout. I just have to send the money for the plane fare to get the driver to wherever they're going to drive the money in from, whatever it was every time. So a lot of people who receive money really quick, where it didn't take years of developing a business or building a six-figure side hustle, like one rental at a time can become, they don't understand what it takes to get that money. So they don't realize how easy it is to be scammed out of it. And so that's another aspect that people that have money have is once people realize that you have money, like you're buying a property, somehow scammers find out which title company you're using, and you start receiving emails with wire instructions for your down payment that look really accurate. So putting in place, stops so you don't fall for scams, because it's really easy for people to find out you have money now. And that makes you a really soft target.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, Dion, do me a favor. How can people follow you, get part of your world?
Right here on YouTube, Dion Talk Financial Freedom. And Tuesday nights, I do live streams. I'm trying to start them earlier in the day.
That's
so
awesome.
People on the West Coast don't have to stay up so late. So usually 4 or 5 p.m.
Very cool. That's awesome, Dion. Thanks for doing that. Take care.
Ciao.